how do you make decisions? Do you typically make decisions that you later wish you hadn't, or you'd given more thought to? Or you find yourself making decisions based on other people's opinions, or you just think you should do? Well, a few years ago, I really and honestly got sick and tired, quite literally, of making decisions that didn't feel good for me. I discovered that I was making my decisions based on wanting to be accepted, on fear. And I had to really look at my decision-making process and what I wanted in my life. And then last year, I came up with against another big decision, a big decision about staying in a role that I really enjoyed and I was really good at, or segueing and moving into a space where I felt I was meant to be, that was feeling really good for me, even though it felt really terrifying. And actually the future from leaving a secure role into something that was, again, working for myself, I had to really dig deep. But luckily, over the last few years, I sort of cultivated this ability to deeply trust myself. So no matter what everyone else was saying to me, and trust me, people were telling me a lot of things, what it meant was I could make that decision based on what I knew. And every single day I could increase my resilience and really keep focused, even though I was pretty scared and I didn't know what that decision would mean. And was I making the right decision? But as it turned out, I was. And I'm so glad that I trusted myself. And so I just wanted to share my top 3 tips on how to start resourcing yourself to make decisions in any area of your life that feel really good to you. So my number 1 tip would be, when you get up in the morning, to have some space where you don't turn on your phone or your laptop or check emails or start conversations in that way. So typically what I find is, and myself, I was included in this, I would immediately, before even getting out of bed, turn on my phone, start scrolling through social media, check my emails, check any messages that had come in overnight. And so already I was bombarded by other people's thoughts and opinions, whether it was from social media or my emails. So immediately my body and my mind were trying to catch up before I'd even started my day. And so one of the best choices I ever made was to make sure I had at least 5 minutes before I turned my phone on. And actually now that has sort of expanded into 30 minutes, 2 hours sometimes, before I even check my emails or check my voice messages or check my phone. And what that gives us, when we allow ourselves to step into the morning, no matter how well we've slept or not, our brains are still processing what we have been doing the day before. And so what we can access from these 5 minutes or longer is the ability to problem solve. So this is what happens when we sleep overnight. So in different stages of sleep, which is a whole nother video, our brains will sift through, will sort through all the noise, all the information, bearing in mind we are trying to process 50,000 plus thoughts a day, 2.3 million bits of information coming in through all of our senses. And so trying to make a decision from a space of depletion is really tricky. And so giving yourself that little bit of time in the morning to just settle into your day, to listen to your own thoughts, to set intentions without ingesting information or being bombarded by requests, is a really good space to set really clear intentions and make good decisions from. So that's my number 1 top tip, is give yourself that little bit of space in the morning, even if it's just 5 minutes, without checking emails, turning on your phone, scrolling through social media. And then the second top tip that over the years has really served me well is developing a mindfulness practice. And what mindfulness does is it helps us to repattern and reprogram our patterns of behavior. So the way that we typically make choices is patterned. And so we can actually see what thoughts are influencing our actions and then the choices we make. So if we have a mindfulness practice where we choose whatever practice we want to choose and use that on a regular basis, because that is key, consistency is key in terms of repatterning the neural pathways, we really get to know ourselves. We really get to form a deep trust with ourselves, no matter what anyone else is saying. So that's tip number 2, is if you haven't already got a mindfulness meditation practice, there are lots of apps out there that you can use. There's lots of meditations you can find on YouTube. Just choose a beginner's mindfulness practice. And 5 minutes a day is all you need. Choose the time of day that suits you, and maybe even set an alarm on your phone or pop it in your calendar that this is going to be your 5 minutes of mindfulness. And that will really, really help you to sift through all the noise and start to shift the way you make decisions from a space of rest rather than a space of intensity. And then the other one that really, really is helpful is when you're trying to make a decision, oftentimes we come at it from the left brain. So we try to be strategic, which is actually really, really helpful. And it is clear when we make strategic choices over choices that we've just jumped into. So aligning your values with the choice you're about to make can be really helpful. And if you've never addressed what your personal values are, that would be a top tip, is to just write down all of your values. So what matters most to you? And then making a decision from that space, seeing if it aligns with your top values, can be really helpful in making that choice. And actually, I'm going to give you a bonus. My bonus top tip for making decisions is this. Have you ever noticed that when you look back on things you should have done, could have done, oh, I wish I'd done this, hindsight is a wonderful thing. And, looking at something from that space with that distance is really helpful. So one thing that I've done for many years actually is when I'm trying to make a decision, a really painful decision, a difficult decision, a decision that may well influence a lot of other things in my life, the trajectory of the way my life goes, and maybe influences other people as well, is to put myself 5 years in the future or some time in the future and imagine my future self looking back on today and perhaps going into a meditation practice and breath work and feeling into what was the decision I wish I'd made. Because even if the decision is really difficult and is going to take a lot of attention, a lot of energy, and people may challenge me in that decision, and I might even question myself, when I look back on the decision, I really typically know what choice I should make, even if it's a really difficult choice, which is going to involve some difficult conversations and some unknowns. So those are my top 3 plus a bonus tips of how to make really great decisions for yourself. Gift yourself that space in the morning with no social media, no emails, so that your brain can start processing and you can hear your own thoughts. Create a mindfulness meditation practice. If you don't already have one, just practicing consistently every day. Write down and get to know your values. Write down what really, truly matters to you. It can shift as we go through life. What perhaps mattered to us 10 years ago will still matter, but maybe there are different things now. So reassess your values and see if your decisions are in line with that. And then the bonus decision is doing that retrospective decision making. So imagine yourself in the future, looking back on you today, trying to make that decision. What do you wish you would have done? What would you think? Oh, I wish I'd done that. If only I'd done that. Even if those decisions, again, are going to take some some time and energy, and maybe they feel a little bit uncomfortable. If you can align yourself with your future self and get to know the reason why you're doing or making those decisions, it can be more powerful and give you that resilience to keep going. So let me know how you make decisions. Let me know if you are interested or would like to make decisions that feel really good for you. Are there decisions that you wish you'd had these tips to do? And what are your top tips? How do you make decisions that feel really good for you, even if they're really hard, even if they go against the grain? What is it that you do to make decisions in your daily life?